Well, yesterday was International Women's Day, that great celebration that was usurped by the very elites it was supposed to oppose. I don't suppose it affected many people. What does seem to affect a lot of people, of course, is this ongoing social grants debacle. 17 million dependents must be worried about that. But there's something else right under the radar. You've probably not even heard of it. It's been happening this week. And that is the mediation that follows the breakdown, the deadlock, in the wage and welfare conditions negotiations for the bus transport sector. This is incredibly important for all of us, for every single, not bus commuter, but also for every single road user, and I would imagine that's just about all of us. You know, the health and welfare of workers demands much more than just rands and cents and money. A decent living wage can buy, I suppose, slightly better living conditions. But work conditions also have an effect, particularly if you're a driver of a bus. And the priority here has to be safety as well as pay for drivers. Now, the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, a pretty good piece of legislation, is often observed more in the breach than in actual fact. And now there's a sticking point of these negotiations, and that is that the employers want to introduce steadily a series of split shifts, that a driver will come on, work for 3 hours, have an 8-hour break, and then work for another 5 hours. That's an 8-hour day for which they'd be paid. Well, even if they're paid for 16 hours, to get to work is another hour perhaps, to get home another hour, that's 18 hours without sleep, because there's no, unlike airline pilots who have proper, transatlantic airline pilots, for example, have proper sleep accommodation, bus drivers actually don't. And this is a recipe for what is known as sleep deprivation, something that torturers around the world use, but it's also a major cause of industrial and road accidents. You know, I don't know if you're aware, but it's an established fact that the average person, you or me, who does not have any sleep for 17 hours on the trot, our faculties are impaired to the same level as someone who's just over the limit for drunk driving. That is actually a fact. And the thing is, it is also compounded over a period of time. I remember a case I covered, wrote about 6 years ago, of a train driver whose passenger train crashed into another stationary goods train. 4 people died, a number were injured. He was being tried for culpable homicide, that's what he faced. But at a hearing it emerged that he had worked 7 days a week for month on end, a minimum of 14, sometimes up to 18 hours a day. According to Dr. Alison Bentley, who was then the head of the sleep clinic at the University of Witwatersrand, she's a specialist in this area, had his condition been brought about by alcohol, by liquor, rather than lack of sleep, he would have been dead from alcohol poisoning. That is the actual reality of sleep deprivation. Now look, there can be a debate about what constitutes a level of decent pay, a living wage, but there cannot be, I think, a debate about safety. And this is why, if this mediation situation does not resolve itself, I think all of us have a duty to support the unions on this basis. Anyhow, that will be the focus of my Inside Labour column, which you can access on this platform, Fin24, tomorrow, and a version of which will appear in the City Press business section on Sunday. Until then, it's over to you. Let's hear what you think about this. Let's hear what you have to say. Send your comments in to editor@fin24.com. That's editor@fin24.com. And for this week, that's all from me. Cheers.